home for the next 34 hours, the Coast Starlight. This is gonna be an epic journey. Can't wait to share it with you. Let's get on board.
The west coast of the United States offers stunning scenery, and there's no better way to see it than from Amtrak's Coast Starlight. From LA all the way to Seattle, we'll see stunning coastlines and marvelous mountains from the comfort of an Amtrak bedroom as we decide whether the West Coast really is the best coast. We'll leave Los Angeles just before 10 in the morning. Our trip will take 34 hours and cover nearly 1,400 miles as we wind our way up the west coast of the United States. We plan to arrive into Seattle just before 8 o'clock tomorrow night.
Hello, jet setters and rail fans. I'm Jeb Brooks from greenergrass.com. Right now, I'm in Los Angeles. We're getting ready to head up to Seattle, Washington on what some have called America's most stunning rail journey. This is the Coast Starlight.
I've only ever boarded a long-distance Amtrak train in Chicago, so this is kind of strange, but boy, is this a beautiful station. Check it out.
And there can be no doubt about it. Los Angeles Union Station is a remarkable space. Opened in 1939, this building blends Spanish and Art Deco into one of the most distinctive in the Amtrak network. Waiting areas are limited here, though. Don't arrive too early, or you'll be out of luck. There are plenty of restaurants and even a convenience store in here, though. Because we were booked into a bedroom, we had access to the Metropolitan Lounge here, so we headed upstairs to check it out. It's a relatively small space. There was an unsecured room to store our bags. Like most of the other passengers, we felt comfortable leaving them here for the duration of our visit. Limited food and drink options are available. There's also a cabinet with artifacts highlighting the rail heritage of this region. I really like this. But more than anything, it was really quiet. When it was nearly time to board, passengers were given a choice. If you wanted assistance, an Amtrak employee would give you a ride. Otherwise, you could walk, which is what we chose to do. At other Amtrak stations, an employee guides passengers to their train. I guess they're short-staffed here because
I was just voluntold to be the leader on the way to the train. I've never had that experience, so hopefully I don't lose anybody on the way.
Thankfully, we all made it to our track.
Here we go. This is us. Coast Starlight all the way to Seattle. This is going to be an epic journey. I just know it.
Question, will we be able to find our car this time?
Well, we're 1431, whatever that means. Wish us luck.
In the past, we've struggled to find our car, and with nobody to guide us here, we just walked along the train looking for something that said 1431. We finally found it. From there, though, we made our way upstairs to Room B in this superliner. We'll have plenty of time to explore our bedroom.
Here we are, home for the next 34 hours. Let's go.
At this time, we are anticipating an on-time departure, so if you're helping someone on board not ticketed for this train, now would be the time to detrain. Once again, this is Amtrak 14, Coast Starlight, northbound to Seattle, Washington.
You want some coffee?
Not at the moment, thank you. This is a little different than the experience departing Chicago. That's kind of dark and basement-y. This is daylight and sunshine. Right on time. Let's go see the West Coast.
That's slightly disconcerting.
Once we lost sight of the skyline, the views departing Los Angeles left a lot to be desired. Good scenery was still ahead of us. Our first stop, though, was the Burbank Bob Hope Airport.
One of a handful of airports in this country with Amtrak stations. Can you name the others? There's no doubt about it. Amtrak is all about the scenery, but let's face it, it's not always magnificent here. I mean, it's not always perfect.
So Jeb, we're about 30 minutes into this journey. When can we expect to enter the rail zone?
I'm there. It's happened. We are in the rail zone.
And for those who don't know, what is the rail zone?
About 30 minutes after you start any long-haul Amtrak journey, really any long-haul rail journey, you just sort of get into this feeling, this sense of just absolute calm and relaxation you can only get on a long-haul train journey.
I'm not feeling it yet. Should I be concerned?
Yes, I think we need to seek medical attention.
Okay.
In order to help speed up Suzanne's entry into the rail zone, we decided to make our way to the Sightseer Lounge. To get there, we passed through another sleeper car, the dining car, and a business class car. It's always a good idea to find your way here, but it was particularly beautiful as we passed through the San Fernando Valley.
So we're back in our room waiting for a southbound train to come by. We're just stopped here for a little bit. We went up to the observation car, the Sightseer Lounge, and the good side, the left side of the direction of travel was full. So we decided to come back here so we'd have a better view of the coast as we get up here. But lunch is coming soon. It's at noon. Got a reservation, so we'll be back in the dining car in not too long.
We waited for the Pacific Surfliner, which soon passed. We made our way through some of California's most verdant agricultural regions, which did nothing but make us hungry for Amtrak's traditional dining. You see, unlike the trains back east, these Western trains currently offer the traditional dining. That's another way of saying real food. If you want to spend more time with the menus, check out greenergrass.com/menus.
Welcome to Oxnard. Next up, the Pacific Coastline. I think that's the ocean. Where else in the United States can you literally watch waves crash from Amtrak? This is a really remarkable route.
Sleeper car passengers like us were able to reserve a time for lunch and dinner, or have the food delivered to our rooms by sleeping car attendants. Breakfast was offered on a first-come, first-served basis. If there was additional space in the dining car at mealtimes, business class passengers were able to pay $20 for breakfast, $25 for lunch, or $45 for dinner. We'd made a noon reservation with the hope of catching more views of the coast like this from the dining car. Thankfully, we planned well.
Time for lunch. Let's head back there.
This was also our first time sitting with other passengers on any Amtrak journey, which added a new layer of enjoyment to our time on board. It also made filming a little more challenging. We don't like to record other passengers unless they want us to. And as we made our way towards Santa Barbara, two other passengers joined us for lunch. The scenery and the conversation made the time between ordering and receiving our food fly by. Turned out everybody at the table opted for cheeseburgers, and everybody at the table seemed as happy as I was with them. After lunch, we returned to our room for even more remarkable views, and despite the low clouds, the afternoon was one of the most relaxing I can remember experiencing on board Amtrak.
How was your lunch?
I loved it. I thought it was really tasty. I love a hamburger, and there's something special about eating a hamburger on a train overlooking the Pacific coast. Am I right?
Totally, absolutely.
You had the hamburger too. What'd you think?
Yeah, very good, very nice. I think this was our first time dining with other Amtrak passengers, so that was kind of a fun angle to get to know why other folks are riding this train.
And it seems like everybody, well, the other two people at our table, the two other people at our table, were riding for the same reason we were. They wanted to see the scenery and check out California from a new perspective, which this is the way to do it, at least so far. I mean, it's beautiful out there, isn't it?
Oh, sorry, what was that? I got distracted by the views.
The name of this train, the Coast Starlight, combines the names of two pre-Amtrak trains that once served this stretch of the continent, the Southern Pacific Coast Daylight and the Starlight. That said, those two services would only have gotten us as far as San Francisco, but we're going all the way to Seattle on this trip. Before the advent of this service in May 1971, you would have had to have changed trains in San Francisco to reach Portland or Seattle. All told, we hugged the California coastline for about 3 hours, and every minute was spectacular. But the Coast Starlight is about even more than just these specific Pacific views. Keep watching to see even more. But first, it's time to take a closer look inside the train.
It's time for a room tour. We have booked the bedroom here on Amtrak, and it's really quite comfortable for two people. I would say it's still quite cozy though, and you probably want to know whoever you're sharing with pretty well. Like, if their socks are smelly, you're gonna know about it.
Whoops. If you've seen any of our other videos, you might be familiar with the Amtrak Superliner bedroom. Even still, I want to show you around a little bit here. So you've got your sink, which is great. You've also got this killer bathroom and shower combination right here, which is fantastic and a real treat of a bedroom, because otherwise you'll be sharing bathrooms and showers downstairs with others. So it's a real treat to be in a bedroom. You've also got this great chair here, which is one of my favorite places to sit and enjoy the trip. Looks like Suzanne's enjoying it too. Along here, there's a sofa, which converts into a bed, as does this upper bunk at night. Now, your room attendant is happy to turn that down for you.
It's a good thing we have our own bathroom.
The bedroom really is large. It's one of those things, though, that's tough to demonstrate on camera. But we did our level best.
If you book a bedroom, you might be wondering, what can you do with the space? Well, we put it to the test.
Is this room big enough for a jumping jack? Yeah.
No, it's not. Here is the two of us standing next to each other.
Is this room big enough to dance the Charleston?
Is it big enough for a lunch? 1.5. Is this room big enough to do a push-up? Yeah, it is. If you do choose to do a push-up in this room, I would highly recommend washing your hands after. And just like that, we've left the coastline behind.
We really had left the coast behind and entered an entirely different world.
I've always dreamed of coming to San Luis Obispo. I just love the name, and that dream is coming to reality right now. Welcome. San Luis Obispo is a fresh air break. What do you say we go check it out?
I need some fresh air.
It's time.
This was a welcome treat since we hadn't stepped off the train in Santa Barbara during the last fresh air break because that's when we were eating lunch.
Started to nod off a little there, but this California sunshine wakes you right up.
We boarded early in order to find a spot in the sightseer lounge, and securing our seat was richly rewarded as we climbed up on our way to Paso Robles. Delays on Amtrak are not unexpected, but it can be a bit disheartening to get passed by a bicycle. We didn't wait long, though. Along this section, we climbed over 1,000 feet in only 11 miles, passing through several tunnels. Like so much of the Coast Starlight, this was really beautiful. At nearly 5 o'clock, I headed downstairs to the cafe to buy a snack and a couple of beers. This cafe is open to everyone on the train to purchase food and drinks. We toasted our adventure and enjoyed golden hour.
Hippies. It's like... there's nothing else like it.
Our 7 o'clock dinner reservation was getting close, so we headed back to our room to enjoy the last few minutes of the sunset before heading to the dining car.
As the sun goes down on another amazing day of Amtrak travel, I just feel so grateful to have the experience to see the world this way. There's nothing quite like Amtrak, but for now, it's time to head up for dinner.
We sat with another couple who were just as friendly as our lunch companions. Dinner is a 3-course affair. Suzanne started with a coconut-crusted shrimp, and I kicked things off with the Mexican souffle. For the main course, Suzanne had the panko chicken, and I had Amtrak's signature steak, which was an absolute highlight for the entire trip. We shared a piece of cheesecake before returning to our room, which had been transformed during dinner into a whole new place.
This is the bed. As you can see, it's substantial. Look, I'm 5 feet 11 inches, or 180 centimeters, and I've got plenty of room.
I slept for about 8 hours before waking up around 5:30 in the morning near Mount Shasta.
There's no way around it. That was not a great night of sleep. You know, I always shoot you straight. Usually my Amtrak sleep's great. That just wasn't. I don't know if the track is rough here or I don't know. I just didn't get a great night's sleep. But looking forward to a beautiful day. Breakfast should start in about an hour. And excited to see what Oregon and Washington State have to offer.
I grabbed a cup of coffee in the hallway outside our room and watched the sun slowly light up the Northern California landscape. Sleep or no sleep, it was to be another beautiful Amtrak morning. Before too long, Suzanne woke up too, and it was time to head for breakfast.
Whoa, what a night. Can't say I'm feeling too refreshed this morning. Let's get some coffee and give it a go.
Breakfast service began at 6:30 and was served on a first-come, first-served basis. We had no trouble finding space when we arrived in the dining car at 7:15, just as the sun was topping the nearby Cascade Mountains. We pulled into Klamath Falls, just over the Oregon border, when our food arrived. Suzanne had the scrambled eggs, and I had the breakfast quesadilla. We pulled away from Klamath Falls and caught a brief glimpse of Mount Shasta before grabbing a cup of coffee and returning to our room.
Just back from that really delicious breakfast, and we're passing Upper Klamath Lake. Talk about great timing. It's a beautiful morning. Having entered the great state of Oregon, a beautiful part of the country that I'm sorry to say I haven't spent more time in, but glad to be here today on the train.
And I wasn't the only one feeling more refreshed following breakfast.
Now that I had some coffee, got some sunshine a little bit, yeah, it's giving me life. Feeling a little bit more peppy right now.
Getting to see Oregon like this is illustrative of Amtrak's trifold purpose in my mind. It's first, it's an amusement park ride. It's a great time. Second of all, it's public transportation. Of course, it gets you from one place to another. But third, and perhaps most importantly, it's a national treasure.
We spent the morning climbing up into the Cascades, amazed by tree-covered peaks and occasional vistas across the wilds of Oregon.
Welcome to Chemult, Oregon. This is the closest stop to Crater Lake, which is definitely on my bucket list. Have you been? What's it like?
From there, we continued our climb, following along the Willamette River and passing through a total of 22 different tunnels. Soon, though, we encountered a lot of smoke from forest fires burning in the Pacific Northwest. As we traveled through this almost mystical landscape, we couldn't help but let our imaginations run free. We may lose a viewer or two here, but I want you to take a look at my shirt. That's Sasquatch. The area in Rwanda where the mountain gorillas were discovered is smaller than the area here in the Pacific Northwest where the so-called Sasquatch is said to possibly be living. In other words, it's not crazy to think somewhere out there there's a large primate. I mean, just take a look at this dense forest. It's thick, nearly impenetrable dark. A great place for a large primate to live, in my opinion. Now, I'm not a zoologist, so I really don't know what I'm talking about. But come on, it's not crazy, right? While dreaming aside, the smoke became incredibly thick as we descended into the valley below. Pretty smoky out there. The smoke was so thick, in fact, it prompted an announcement from our conductor saying the fires posed no danger to the train. Smoke has a real acrid smell to it.
It's almost lunchtime, and after the last 3 meals dining with our fellow passengers, the introvert in me is coming out, and we've decided to have lunch in our room today. Just kind of a cozy lunch for 2.
It should be very nice. It always is nice to eat your room, a benefit of Amtrak without a doubt. But first, it was time for another fresh air break here in Eugene, Oregon. Despite the lingering smell of smoke, it felt so good to get off of the train and stretch, since the last time we gotten off was back in San Luis Obispo. It was 3 o'clock the day before, 21 hours ago.
Welcome to Eugene, Oregon. This is the westernmost city in the entire Amtrak network. This is also the first time since San Luis Obispo we've been off the train. Boy, does it feel good to stretch legs.
And stretch them we did. With almost 30 minutes to burn here, Suzanne, always a bit more adventurous than me, decided to really explore as much of Eugene as she could.
We're not supposed to leave the train. What are you thinking?
It was 1 block.
But soon, even she decided it was time to get back on board. So we made our way there, heading upstairs to our room, where we would soon be trying lunch. Our room attendant brought lunch only minutes after we departed Eugene. We laid everything out on our table and began opening up the dishes. For Suzanne, it was the chili bowl, and I opted for the mixed green salad with some chicken on it. The chicken was tough, but the salad was fresh.
Freshness on the Amtrak menu can sometimes feel a bit hard to come by, so sometimes I pick up my own snacks. Got a supplement lunch with a little apple I picked up in LA.
We continued our journey northward through Oregon, stopping at places like Albany and Salem, and passing through towns like Oregon City, the first U.S. city incorporated west of the Rockies.
So you may have noticed we've been spending a lot of time in our room today. That's not exactly intentional.
It's just the observation car has been full. Every time we've gone in there to try to grab a seat, every seat has been taken.
3 hours after Eugene, we reached Portland, another fresh air break, and another truly beautiful station. We were glad to get out and explore a bit here. Portland is known as the City of Roses and is the largest in Oregon. It's one of only 4 cities in the U.S. with an extinct volcano within its borders.
What a truly beautiful station. I just love seeing a new station like this one. Bear in mind, if you do get off the train and head out of the station, you're going to have to stand in line to get your ticket checked again here. This is what's called a closed platform. So you got to make sure you take your ticket with you.
We moved through the line fairly quickly, made our way across the platform, and back onto the train where we snagged seats in the Sightseer Lounge. We soon crossed the Columbia River to enter the third and final state of this trip. Welcome to Washington. Unfortunately, just on the other side of the river, we faced our first significant delay of the trip. But even it was only 30 minutes as we waited for this freight traffic to clear. The rest of the journey into Seattle went by relatively quickly. Dinner was tasty. Suzanne and I both had the salmon, which seemed fitting in the Pacific Northwest. We shared a slice of the lemon cake, enjoyed more conversation with fellow travelers, and took in a magnificent sunset. The food on this trip was heads and shoulders above anything currently on offer on board the East Coast trains, but the steak was the unquestioned highlight for me.
There's no doubt about it. There is no better way to experience the United States of America than from an Amtrak train. This was a remarkable trip on a remarkable route. Can't wait for the next one.
If you're considering this trip, I'd encourage you not to miss the section between Simi Valley and San Luis Obispo. Those coastal views are not to be missed. But that shouldn't take away from this morning's trek through the Oregon mountains. That was also incredible. That said, I really wish we'd gotten out in Portland. Yeah, we would have missed that one last dinner, but this last section is dark. We pulled into Seattle only 20 minutes late. All in, the Coast Starlight is not quite the same as the cross-country trips from Chicago, but definitely deserves every bit of credit it gets as America's most stunning rail journey.
Between now and the next time, see you on the rails.
We match. That's awkward. We're going to be moving that.
Here we are in a beautiful agricultural part of California. Stunning, isn't it? This is a really special route, or route, if you care to go that direction.
You're creepily laying over there.
I'm working.
Jeff,
working.
yeah, you gotta
I'm
get
working.
back to work.
I'm working.
Cutting room floor.
Yeah, probably not gonna make it.
You might want to smile. Like, you should be happy about this.
Charleston?
I don't know.
Let me practice. It's a deep cut.
What was the cut? I didn't get it.
You find us chasing the sun. It's too close. Between now and the next time. Oh, I thought you just meant